Before I was young enough to remember anything, my mother and biological father separated, and the only thing on my possession from their time together are 3 photos, of which I was not alive during, which will play a significant part in the story later, but in any case. After this, my mom was now single and trying to provide for herself. Single mom trying to provide for me only. I was an only child. And eventually, she would end up getting married to my stepfather. And now this was a jarring change. Now, I was too young to really remember anything, so I don't know what I was thinking at the time. Although I do have a general idea. But just looking at it, it's kind of funny. I went from a Brazilian ethnic immigrant father, very ethnic when I hear him speak now, and even back then, he sounded very Brazilian. Like, he didn't sound American at all. To this white dude from New Jersey. Shout out Dave. I love you, Dave. But in any case, we also went up pretty high in terms of wealth, like a pretty big jump, because with my father wasn't really wealthy, nor was my mom at the time. So we're kind of in the lower class, right? And then with my mom being single, we're still in the lower class. But my stepfather was upper middle class, I would say. I don't know what makes you upper middle class. I don't know what makes you upper class, but I would say upper middle class is probably a fair estimate. And now we were living in a gated neighborhood. Gated community. No issues at all. No crime. No sirens. No one getting shot like over here. Good times. Sunshine and rainbows. Going to school, making friends. Mostly white school. Although, for a school that's so well put together, it was pretty diverse. Relatively diverse. Now, I know some people will be like, oh, you're racist. I don't care. It's true. Alright, and I actually have a story, which I'm not going to tell in this video, about why white people generally are happier. Because I went to a party yesterday, and it was so obvious to me. But in any case, a birthday party. In any case, life was good. I didn't really know what was going on with my father. And, I talked to him a few times on Skype, but I didn't really understand. I was too young, and my mom, bless her, I love her, all my heart, but she isn't very good at explaining things. So I didn't really know what was going on with my dad. But there was quite a jarring thing that would end up happening. My dad got deported because he didn't pay child support. And I may wonder why my mom needed child support in the situation. I don't know. She told me there's some technicality with the law where something would happen if she didn't. I don't know. All I know is he got deported. And I didn't really know what to think, because it wasn't really explained to me how deportation works. It's like, you got deported. Well, what does that mean? It never really got explained to me. All I know is he was gone. And to this day, I was about 6 years old at the time, roughly. I'm being very rough with the ages right now because I'm not entirely sure. But I'm 17 now, and I still haven't seen him since he got deported. To this day. So, I'm looking at 11 years. I talked to him a little bit on WhatsApp. In fact, I called him for the first time in 7 years, so it was nice to hear his voice again. But in terms of physical reality, actually interacting with him, all I remember is the following. Him teaching me to say thank you after buying Mentos. We're at this gas station. And the clerk was some Indian guy, and I was buying Mentos. I'm a little boy, by the way. I'm like 5 or something like that. And I just started talking. Taught me how to say thank you after buying the Mentos, right? The smell of gasoline, because he had this white van, right? And I went to the gas station with him a lot. So every time I smell gas, I just think of my father. It's a weird memory thing, because some people hate the smell. Some people really like the smell just because it smells good, I guess. Then me, I just remember, it just reminds me of my dad. How his beard felt. I remember how his beard felt. He had very good facial hair genetics. I'm trying to, mine, it's coming in a little bit. It's coming in. The lighting isn't really doing it justice, but he's doing okay. For about a month and a week and change in, doing okay. 17. And vaguely his apartment with his brother, which apparently doesn't really have a good relationship with anymore with, which is kind of disappointing, because actually he was kind of the bridge to my father in some ways. I went bowling with him a few years after this, after my father had been deported. But in any case, that's what I remember about my dad. That's all. So, I was a bit confused, because again, it wasn't really explained to me, so I had come to the conclusion in my tiny little brain at the time that he just left. He abandoned me, essentially. That's what I thought. Now, of course he didn't, but that's how it felt. It's the only thing I could make of the situation. But it wasn't that big of a deal, if I'm going to be completely honest. It was kind of weird. I kind of thought about it sometimes, but I had a stepdad that I loved very much. You know, we played baseball together. We watched the Phillies. Talked about sports. I was a baseball kid. He taught me how to play baseball. Good times. You know, taught me a bit about video games. Bought me video games. Fun. Pizza. All the stuff. But the question always lingered, you know, where is my dad? And now I'm trying to keep my notes here because it's very difficult to keep the story in chronological order because there's just so much stuff I have to go over. But recently, by recently I mean 2 years ago, I was watching this movie with my cousins called Daddy's Home. Now it's this movie with Will Ferrell and Mark Wahlberg, but in this movie, it was all good and fun, whatever. The movie wasn't that amazing, but it got to a point where I kind of realized, you know, the biological father, because the stepdad is Will Ferrell and the biological father is Mark Wahlberg. You know, this biological father reminds me a lot of my dad. Not in how he looks, obviously, because Mark Wahlberg is white. My dad is Brazilian ethnic. But kind of in how they were. I mean, handsome, experienced with women, but kind of a drifter. Kind of here, kind of there, because my dad has been all over the place. Even in America. He's been all over South America. He's been all over America. He's kind of a drifter. You know, kind of like the biker archetype, I guess. And his relationship with the mom in the movie was just reminded me a lot of my dad, because that's really what the issue my mom had with my father, is he's just kind of a drifter. He wasn't reliable, so to speak. And from the child's perspective, you don't really understand, like, why don't mom and dad just get along? It's kind of what you just say to yourself, it's like, why can't they just get along? And this is the question, even after I got over my biological father, quotes. Even with my stepdad, because you can hear it later, I still had this question, why can't they just get along? And the kids in the movie were asking the same question over and over again, where's dad? Where's dad? Where's dad? Why aren't mom and dad together? It was kind of hitting me. It's like, well, kind of reminds me of my life. But there was a specific scene where it made me cry myself to sleep that night, because it made me really, really sad. And it was a scene where they were going through a scrapbook, a bunch of photos, like memory photos. And in one of the photos, it was the mom and dad together. Then, you know, they start playing all the sentimental, sad music. And the reason why it hit me so hard is because I had a scrapbook. I still have the scrapbook of my mom and dad being together in a photo. So it's just like me. It's just like me. I go through it. And originally, my scrapbook, I never had the photo. I don't know when it got added, because I only check it like once every few months, right? But one time I'm just going through. I don't know how old I was at the time. It was a few years ago. I was going through it. And I see these new photos. And lo and behold, my mom and my dad. Never seen them together before this point. Never. Literally never together. I don't have a single memory outside of these photos, seeing these photos of my mom and dad being together. Not a single one. And I just see it. And I just got emotional, because it was kind of how it was meant to be, I suppose. You know, mom and dad being together, that's how it's supposed to be, right? And in this movie, the same sentiment was kind of brought across all the sad music and whatever. And you know, I'm sitting with my cousin or cousins. I don't remember if I was watching with one or two of them. And I'm just trying not to cry. Like, I'm just trying to mind my own business, because he's sitting over here, so he can't really see me. So I'm just, you know, trying to sit back, you know, just tough it out, right? Which I ended up doing, but I, you know, kind of let it all out when I started going to bed. But it's like this scene which is specifically designed to make me hate my existence. I hate that movie. I really never want to watch it again, because it just reminds me too much of my dad and my mom. Now, it's important to remember this, because this is really the framework. This is kind of the mental framework, because I really do think, as nowadays, I kind of have... I hate calling myself this and saying I have this, because I don't really put as much stock into this as a lot of other people. Because a lot of people say, well, I'm never going to be good at social skills and whatnot because I have Asperger's or I have autism, right? I'm not going to say that, but I am going to say I have symptoms. I'll put it like that. I have symptoms of Asperger's. And it mostly has to do with not understanding other people's emotions and lacking empathy. It's both. Not only do I not really care that much about people's emotions, not that I don't care at all, but I kind of just look at it from a logical standpoint. It's kind of like, well, why are you sad? It doesn't make any sense. And I also struggle to understand people's emotions. I don't understand humans in general a lot of the time. That's why I try to, observe human interaction. Try to listen to people speak and understand how they think. Because I never really understand, to be honest. And part of it has to do with this, I think. This whole experience with my dad and my stepdad, and I haven't even got into halfway through the story, right? We're probably like 5% of the way in. At this point in the story, I'm about 6 years old. 17 now. We still got 11 years to go. And this is just getting started, as I say. But I think it all stemmed from this, to be honest. It's my lack of understanding of other humans. It's kind of, I put this wall, and of course all the other things that happened after this, but I kind of put this wall down. It was hard for me still is hard for me to communicate with people because of this. Although, I would say I don't have the other symptoms, like not being able to speak and whatnot. But in any case, as far as my stepdad, this is where it deviates from the movie, because the kids didn't really like their stepdad that much. I love my stepdad. Like I said, baseball, Phillies, hot dogs, burgers, good time. Good time. I had friends in the neighborhood. I lived in this house, right? It was a nice house with a pool. Gated community, gated neighborhood. And behind my house, I had my best friend. We played baseball together. It was fun. Played video games. I had a friend, down the street. I played video games with him. I had friends all over the place. Went to school, I had friends there. I was like a normal kid. Right? But as you'll see is a continual theme in the story, things go pretty sideways pretty quickly. And by the way, I should probably mention, I don't know, I think I have the chronology down. No. Actually, hold on. Not yet. That part's after this. So, my mom was brought up as a Christian. And she turned away from the faith. And she was away from the faith when she married my stepdad. But a few years into the relationship, at this point, I'm probably about... When this happened, I was probably about 8 or 9. Okay, 8 or 9. My mom converted back to Christianity. Now, although my stepdad was raised as a Catholic, he wasn't really with the conversion, right? He didn't really want to change. My mom wanted to change. So it created this big rift between the two. And this would end up leading to their divorce. Now, this divorce didn't necessarily lead to my mom and me moving. At the time. Because my stepdad was very gracious. And let us say, probably because of me. To be honest, but again, this happened when I'm about 8 or 9 years old, and for the next few years, actually, no, not even for the next few years. I guess so. If I start 8, it depends. Again, I'm trying to be as accurate as possible with the ages. There was constant arguing because constantly just argued over, even before they got divorced and after they got divorced, constant arguing about a bunch of different stuff, about me, about religion, all this stuff, loud arguing. I would hear them from my room, and this was a big house. All right, this was a nice house. I was here, and they're all the way over here, and I could hear them. It was very loud. And again, the questions just started coming into my head again about, similar to the ones I had with my original dad, my biological father. Why are they arguing? Why are they not really together? Why are things not working? And about a year later, I would say, like 2 years after this happened, or I just give you an age when it happened, because I'm trying to keep these ages accurate. At about 11 years old, 11 or 10 years old, I found explicit content. And it had nothing to do with the argument. I wasn't doing it for some coping thing. I just found it. All right, this is what happened, okay? I went on Google, I looked it up. I don't know how I figured it out. I don't know how I got there. No clue. But all as I went to the hub, I I don't know what I was searching for. Again, I keep in mind, I'm a 10 or 11-year-old kid. I don't know what the hell I'm looking for. All I know is I see boobs. And I'm going boy oy oy. And I remember the exact video I watched, the exact actress, and, vividly some of the scenes. And I finished, but nothing came out. That's how young I was. This would be the beginning of a very disheartening battle of me trying to quit. Or me just getting addicted. I only tried to quit about 2 years later, and I didn't even realize I had entered a battle because I didn't know it was wrong. All I know is I just saw boobs. I mean, it feels good. There can't be anything wrong with it, right? Now, aside from the arguing and the fact they divorced and, the explicit content, which at the time I didn't realize was an issue. If anything, based on my conversations at school, it was a normal and good thing. I still had friends at school. Still had my friend, behind my house. I had a friend down the street. Had video games. I enjoyed my life. I was a little kid. I'm making it sound a bit worse than it actually was, because I'm focusing mostly on the negatives, because I have to. I have to get the point across, right? But in general, I was a happy kid. If you asked me if I was happy, I was like, yeah, But that would change very quickly. It all came to a head one night when my mother essentially took me out of bed, took me in the car, and we drove. And we ended up stopping somewhere. I don't remember exactly where. And we slept in the car that night. Now, I was very confused. We had a very big, nice, comfy bed, a nice room with AC, all this stuff. It's like, well, why are we sleeping in the car? It doesn't make any sense. Because, again, my mom's not very good at explaining things. She kind of explained it, but I'm a 11 or 12-year-old kid at the time, okay? I don't understand what the hell any of this means. You got to be very clear and concise about what's actually happening. And, the next day, we pull up to this house. Now, it's an alright house. Probably has, 2 rooms in it. I actually did spend a lot of time in this house because I had a friend in it, but I don't remember exactly. 2 or 3 rooms, decently sized. Smells terrible, but 2 to 3 rooms, decently sized, right? Pull up to this house. I'm thinking, okay, well, we're going to go inside. Maybe we're going to meet some people and have some fun, right? No, we go to the back. Take a left. There's a door here. There's what do they call those doors? It's like a picket door. It's like a fence, and there's a door in the fence. It's white. We open the door. Walking through. Going through the back. We're in the backyard. Turn. There's this shed. This white shed. This little shed. There's a door on it. I'm like, why are we at the shed? It's kind of weird. Open. First thing I see is a bed. Like, people are living in this shed? It's kind of weird. It doesn't look like a house. This is a little shed. This is where you keep your tools and stuff, right? No. Walked in, there was a bed. And you go to the right. Actually, there's no wall at the time, now that I think about it. Because actually, I don't want to spoil it, but walk to the right, look to the right, and then there's this dude. Now, I knew this guy from this Hispanic church my mother went to. And by the way, just as a funny note, my mom took me to this Spanish church. That was about 3 hours long. If you know ethnic churches, any church that's not white, it takes hours. Okay, if you know, you know. But they spoke Spanish, exclusively Spanish. And I, to this day, although I'm learning Portuguese, okay, I'm trying to learn, okay, I didn't understand a single word they said. And I was there for 3 hours a day. Or, not 3 hours, 3 hours a week. But sometimes, my mom would drag me at 4 a.m. to go over there, to be early and whatever. But 3 hours listening to people I don't understand. But in any case, I see this dude which I had seen from the Hispanic church, right? I'm like, why are we here? Then it basically gets very modestly explained to me that this guy is now my dad. Supposed to be my dad. So if you're keeping track, I have my biological father, who got split up from me before I even was able to acknowledge that he was my dad and he was with my mom. They separated before that. Then I'm with my stepdad, who I'm like, okay, he's my dad. It's all good. Like him. And then I'm separated from him, apparently, And I have this new dad. I'm like 11 or 12 years old. And I was really confused. I was like, why? Why is this happening? What's going on? Anyways, I put up this wall. I'm going to describe to you this shed, this house. So they put up this wall. So as soon as you walk in, there's my mom's room. My mom and stepdad's room. It's a bed. There's a bed. There's a TV up here. There's like shoes on the floor and whatever. Just a bed. That's basically it. Just a mattress. A bed is calling it. It's just a mattress, actually. Just mattress. And then there's a wall. Now, this is a very tight area. Like, okay, if you were standing here, 1, 2, you took like 2 steps to the right, you would hit the wall. So it's a very tight area. All right, the mattress takes up basically the whole thing. In terms of width, in terms of length, you could fit like 2 mattresses. All right, so it's a very small area. Then there's my area, which is roughly the same size. They put a wall in between. They put this door. It's roughly the same size, and there's this bed. My bed. There's this little shelf thingy to put the TV. Right. So I guess I had a little bit more lateral, like, width. Right. I had the same. In terms of this, I had the same thing, but in terms of this, I was a bit wider, so I could put a TV there. And I'll try to show you a photo of this house if I have it. Right, or this house, so to speak. And it had this big TV from like the 2000s or something like that, 90s, I don't know. I had a VCR, VHS tapes, DVD player, DVDs. Basically no internet, because internet was terrible because how far we are from the router. It took me like 10 minutes to load a web page. And that's basically all I had. Bed, this TV thing, and I had a little desk with my crappy laptop on it. That was my reality. Then, of course, I had this little curtain thingy. Then we go to the kitchen, where basically we only eat peanut butter and jellies and eggs. And some rice and beans. That was my whole diet at the time. For reference, so I have this room right here. This is one of my 2 rooms. Now, me having 2 rooms, which I'm, for the most part, provided for, is a miracle in and of itself. I'm talking a bit more about how I got to that point later, but this one room here is only a little bit smaller than the shed. So yeah, it's one room. It's one room in this house. Not even that big of a room, to be honest. The room I had when I was younger in my stepdad's house, my first stepdad's house, or my stepdad as I call him, and I call my next dad stepdad. But that room was bigger than the shed. Alright, so that's to give you an idea. And yeah, by the way, there's no door in the bathroom. Just a curtain. That's it. No AC. Had some ghetto fans. No, that was it. That was basically my starting point. Because remember, at the time before this, I was a little kid. And I'm still a little kid at this time, but I matured quite quickly. I was a little kid before this that didn't really... I really couldn't grasp anything. Now I started understanding what was going on. And I lost all my friends, naturally, because I moved out of the school zone. And I was basically starting from square one. This time I'm about 11, 12 years old. And after a while I started a new school. From this place I had a little bus stop. I remember I would walk out, go left here, cross a intersection, take a left, and the bus stop would be there. I know when I made more friends. School, I had friends. And I started gaining a love for basketball because I couldn't really play baseball anymore. It was kind of over because I didn't have the space to play baseball. If I played baseball, I'd probably break something or lose the ball in someone else's yard. Right, basically impossible to play baseball. And I started playing basketball. And I fell in love with basketball. I wanted to be a basketball player. You asked me what I wanted to do? I want to be a basketball player. First I wanted to be a baseball player, now I want to be a basketball player. And it's partially because my cousins, who are going to play a larger role in the story later, played basketball. Right? I had a big basketball playing family, essentially. And after months of abruptly not being able to see my stepdad, which I never said bye to him. I remember how I described what happened. I never got the chance. Abruptly, I started seeing him again. He'd pick me up on the weekends. I would go to his house. I got access to the stuff I had not seen in a while, my possessions. And I got on Hoops demo Roblox basketball on my crappy laptop. And my I had two laptops at the time. Both of them sucked, but one of them was really bad. It was this little touchscreen Windows 8 laptop. But I went on Roblox Hoops basketball, and I met someone who was a very good friend of mine now. Lamarcus. Shout out if you're watching the video. But I met him. I had like Cheeto dust on my fingers if I recall correctly, and played together. He thought I was cool. I thought he was cool. He told me to get Discord. I got Discord, and I added him. And that would end up being a very integral part of my life, believe it or not. I'm going to go over that a bit more later, but now my stepdad's place, there was a basketball court. I didn't have when I was at my mom's place, there's no basketball court. I had this little, those those Fisher Price toddler basketball hoops only go up to like 6 or 7 feet. That's all I had at my mom's house. That was basically what I was practicing with. But I had this VHS tape of Larry Bird with Red Auerbach, and I was using that to learn how to shoot. And I was actually getting pretty good, relatively speaking, because I was playing at school, and I was doing good. For my circumstances, how long I had been playing, I was doing really good. But at my dad's, they had an actual basketball court with people who actually played, adults, and people, in their later teens. I was always the youngest one there. Almost always, actually. I remember this other kid who was younger than me, but, good times. I spent basically all day at the basketball court. I would wake up. I would eat a toasted waffle in the toaster, like those. I think it's like Lego My Eggo, or the Eggo waffle. I don't know. The waffles, you put in a toaster, some bacon, you microwave it. And then you put chocolate syrup on the waffle. That's basically all I ate for breakfast. And then, I would go out and play basketball. Unless this was the first day, because my stepdad picked me up on my first stepdad. Remember, when I say stepdad, I'm referring to first one. He would pick me up, and we would go to his house. And sometimes as soon as I got there, I would go. So I would get there at like 7, go to basketball court until like 10. Then the next day I would have my, the waffle. I was talking about that breakfast. Or I'd also have some toast or some butter sometimes. Then I would go to the court at like 12, come back at like 11 or 10, as late as I could. And then on Friday, Saturday, and Sundays, I would. Okay, yeah. On Sundays, I would go out early, and I would come back at like 6, and I would get dropped off back home. Then on Monday, I would go to school. That's how it was. And then, of course, I was also staying up really late, drinking soda, eating chips, being a degenerate. But I was playing a lot of basketball. And I was also playing a lot of Roblox basketball. Like, I would go out, I'll play basketball for like 10 hours. Then I'll come back, I'll play Roblox basketball. That was basically what I was doing. That was my schedule. And, during this whole time, keep this in mind, this is a general point. This whole time I'm smart. I'm a smart kid, but I'm kind of nerdy type. I was a nerd. Alright, nerds are smart, but they're nerds. They're geeks, so is it really that useful? And this is how I became a super nerd, because I started out as a nerd and then I upgraded, right? But in any case, about this time, during this time of, I want to get it right. I'm going to get it right. No, okay. So this happened first. We moved again, and we moved to a trailer. And it was this crappy trailer in this crappy trailer neighborhood, but I had my own room, which is amazing. Like, my own actual room. It wasn't that big. This is way bigger than that room, but it was a lot nicer. I actually had internet. Had a good time. I enjoyed my life. Even then, I kind of enjoyed my life, but I kind of understood what was going on. And I cried some nights to sleep. I don't know. I was very good at coping, I guess. I don't know. I was a S-tier coper. And during this time, And also getting to school sucked because I had to walk 30 minutes in the basking sun to my bus stop. So I would be always sweaty. I would get on a bus and it was already smelled terrible there, and I probably smelled terrible now when I get to school. It's terrible. But in any case. Right, okay, so I was playing Roblox basketball. This is the same time period. Okay. But first I moved before this. I was playing in leagues. And, I kind of branched out from my friend because my friend didn't really play much anymore. I was kind of just going out on my own. But there was this friend group I was in, and these people basically bullied me. And I'm not like, oh, they bullied me like a little loser. I actually still talk to a lot of these people. I'm actually friends with them still. But at the time, I was just comedic relief at the time. Because I was this little kid. I was like 13, 12, whatever. And I was very sensitive. I was very gullible. So they'll make fun of me. And granted, I was doing stupid things, but they'll make fun of me until I started crying in VC. Then they'll just start laughing at me. Which, I mean, probably was it was kind of messed up, but it was pretty funny. I'm not going to lie. If I was one of them, I would have laughed, too. Okay? I don't know if I would have made myself cry, but I would have laughed. In any case, there was this one time. I was playing this league. It's a very big league. It's like 300 people. Right? And I choked this one Roblox basketball playoff game so bad. So bad. God, dude. If I ever find actually, wait, I might be able to find if I find it, I'll put it in the video. But I choked, and they started memeing me, bro. And keep in mind, I'm like 12 or 13. They were memeing me. They were making memes of me, calling me stupid, retarded. All these people, like 20 different people at the same time in chat, just making fun of me. And it got to the point where I started crying. And I actually wanted to die. I kind of wanted to die. Now, I was a young kid, and I was a complete PUSSY. So I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to do anything, bro. Like, I was too scared to, be anywhere near doing anything. But I just had the thought. It was kind of like, I wish the pain and suffering and the sadness would go away. Kind of just want to die, right? But, I didn't do anything, obviously. But there's a lot of moments like this that would end up shaping my life. There's little events like this where I just start crying. Like, I just get beat up, basically, mentally. And kind of, this is really why I don't have much empathy and don't care much about others' feelings, because I've just been beat up so much that I kind of became desensitized to anything. And anyways, for the trailer, we got kicked out because of some technicality. The lady that was renting us out didn't put our name down or whatever, and then the owner of the trailer park came and kicked us out, whatever, something like that, something stupid. So we moved on to this home with a hoarder. Now, at the start we had 2 rooms. One like this and another one like this. But very quickly, this deal got flipped. Because, I don't know, we got screwed, I guess. Our rent didn't change. But we got put into one room. So this one room here, all 3 of us were crammed into it, basically. And also, I lost all my possessions, basically, again, because of how the move was. I had this table that was about shin height. Right? So a lot shorter than this table I'm using right here. It's like up to my shins. So I had to crouch down to use my laptop, which was all I had. I had my laptop, I had my clothes, I had this little table, and I had my mattress. That's it. So I sit on my mattress and nerd neck to hell to try to use my laptop. But we didn't spend long there, thankfully. We weren't even allowed to cook inside the house, although my mom kind of broke that rule. Pretty creative solution, I must say. But in any case, we moved into this apartment. Keep in mind, every weekend I'm still visiting my stepdad. But moved to this apartment with someone else, just about 5 minutes away. And thankfully, this place was a lot better. But I also had lost my room once again. I didn't have a room. I lived in the living room. I slept on the couch. I had a laptop, a desk. It's kind of it. Laptop, a desk, couch. That was my living space. And it's curtain that I would use for like privacy. And this is when I started homeschooling enough of yes, because always went to school, and I missed a lot of time. I think on average I went like 3.5 times a week, if you average it out. And after 6th grade, my first year in middle school, which I had a very good time in middle school. I didn't homeschool because I was getting bullied and I hated school or whatever. I enjoyed school, except for the classes. But my friends, I had a lot of friends. I was kind of weird. I was always weird in school, you know. I was friends with the popular kids. Like the popular kids that all the nerds are like, wow, you know, that guy's so popular and whatever. And the girls talk to him and whatever. I was friends with them, which was already kind of weird. Kind of unique, I suppose, because I didn't really have big friend groups. I was friends with them. But I was also friends with the nerds. And I was also, because of this, I was actually pretty popular. Like, everyone basically knew who I was, but I was kind of an idiot, so I didn't use it for any good or whatever. I was kind of a goody two-shoes. It's really weird, because usually if I describe myself in one way, goody two-shoes, never really got in trouble. That's what I mean by that. I was friends with a bunch of nerds. Think I was some nerd that no one cared about and the popular kids made fun of. But there's also the other side where I was friends with the popular kids and always talked to me, and I sat with them at lunch sometimes. I think I was the popular kid too. So it's kind of like both. It's weird. But in any case, I was really tired of waking up really early in the morning. So I was like, okay, I'm going to homeschool. Do it online. And I must say, this is probably the best decision I ever made. Because I wouldn't be able to start my business with this. I wouldn't even be able to well, it's Sunday, 1 o'clock right now. But say this was a Monday, I wouldn't be doing this right now if I hadn't decided to homeschool. And you'll see why later, but there were some drawbacks, like lack of social interaction, which was supposed to be overcame by, going out to play. Because remember, this whole time I'm playing basketball all the time. So this is supposed to be, fixed by, okay, well, I'm just going to play basketball. I'm going to be on a team, and I'll make friends there. Didn't end up happening because how my mom is, and, she's nervous, and she doesn't want me to get hurt and whatever. She had to sign this thing where it says, you have to acknowledge your son's going to get hurt, and she didn't want to sign it. So that didn't happen, Basically, no social interaction sucked. So, I lost all my school friends. I had no friends. Except my online friends, which some of them I'm still cool with now from this time. My totally legitimate schoolwork I was doing every day. And the basketball courts. Well, I still had my friends from my stepdad's house, right? The basketball court. And I had a lot of good memories there, right? And then moved again. So you see a lot of moving here. Moved again to this crappy apartment. That was probably worse than the last one I was in, to be honest, right? If I remember, it smelled like weed all the time. There was this little kitchen, and I lived in the living room again. There was only one room. And now this is probably the thing that made it actually worse, because in terms of size, in terms of living situation, it was probably about the same. But the worst part was, there was one room, and that room had the bathroom in it. Now, obviously, my parents, my mom and my stepdad, got that room. And the bathroom was in it. So if I ever want to use the bathroom, I have to go in the room. Now, of course, I locked the door when I went to sleep. So if I had to go to bed in the middle of the night, if I wanted to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I couldn't. So I have to go pee in a cup and pour it down the sink. I had no choice. Or that, or try to open the door, but then it would hear me, and then it would be wondering why the hell I'm going outside. It sucked. Alright. And I had this bunk bed in the living room. Now bunk beds is usually 2 beds, right? One bed. You climb up to get to the second one, right? Instead of the bed on the bottom, it was my desk. My laptop. And my laptop was upgraded now. I actually had the same laptop right here I'm using. And it's a very good laptop. It's an Acer Predator Helios 3000. It's been serving me good. At this time, I'm about 13 or 14. Okay? This laptop's still serving me well. It's been like 4 or 3 years. No way. It's only been 3 years. 3 or 4 years. It has to be more. No, it's probably like 4 to 5 years actually. So again, I'm trying to get these ages right because it's very hard. I don't have this stuff written down necessarily from time, but anyways, yeah. And this is when I first started thinking about making money. Now, I wasn't some self-improvement guy at this time, right? I haven't actually done anything very important. I actually started thinking about doing things important, but I actually started thinking about making money. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to change my situation. But I first got on Swag Bucks. Yeah, I know. You can make fun of me as much as you want. I was on Swag Bucks. Like an idiot. But I was also doing flipping, right? I was flipping whenever I went to the thrift store, look for stuff to resell. I'll buy it and I'll resell it on eBay using my mom's account. And I actually made some money doing that. Not much, but I made some, right? But something that came with this move was I moved really far from my stepdad. Like really far, like an hour. So I stopped visiting him. And since this happened, I've probably only seen him like 3 to 4 times in like the past 5 years. So, you know. And of course, what came with that is I lost all my friends at the basketball court. So again, realize the pattern. Every time I move, I lose friends. Losing friends, over and over and over again. This is why, again, I think I lack empathy and don't really understand other people that well. I just kind of feel really desensitized and disconnected from everything because just lost. So it's like so many times over and over again. This doesn't end with this move, by the way. This doesn't end here. But over and over again, it's just things I like being given to me and then taken away. Just over and over again. But anyways, I also couldn't really play basketball anymore because remember, I was basically relying on my stepdad's house in order to have a real basketball court. Now, all I had was a patch of grass. A shared patch of grass. Thankfully, no one else used it. I was the only one using it. But it was a shared patch of grass and a basketball hoop. That's all I had. No concrete. Couldn't really practice my dribbling that much. But, no, I could do shooting, I guess. So it wasn't all bad, was it? And I also lost my internet friends, basically, because the internet here was really weird. The upload and download speed was very good, but I had a lot of packet loss, which caused my ping in online games to be absolutely awful. I couldn't play Roblox, I couldn't play Minecraft, I couldn't play anything, bro. Couldn't do anything, basically. All I could do was download emulator games and play them. So I remember at this time I beat, like, Battle for Bikini Bottom. Right? That's like the type of games I was playing at this time. That's basically all I did. That and flipped whenever I could. Now, something else that came with this move was me moving a lot closer to my cousins. So, instead of visiting my stepdad on the weekends, I would visit my cousins, which would end up, kind of opening a new world to me. And it was a really good time, I was playing a lot of basketball with them. Because for a while, I wasn't visiting anyone, then I started visiting my cousins. And I played basketball with them. And I was starting to get really good. Like, really good at shooting specifically. I was like oh my god. I remember I used to play against adults if you know what it is, it's Flamingo. If you live in Florida, you live near Sunrise, you know what this court is, Flamingo. It's very competitive. I was getting really good. I was shooting I was having games where I was going 4 for 4, 5 for 5. And I was a little bastard always running around getting screens and whatever, but yeah, there's a lot of bonding, get out of the world a little bit, all the good stuff, right? Now, in accordance with all the other events in the video, we moved again. Now, this would actually end up being an actual, real house, which was a new thing for me, right? And I actually had my own room. And this is where I started my business. Now, if you go to my old videos on my old channel, you'll see this room. You can see how cluttered it was, but it wasn't like that always. At the beginning, the room was like a normal room. Desk, closet, bed. That's basically all it was, right? And I was about 14 or 15, I was a geek. And my connection to the outside world basically ended at this time because when the PDMIC came, I don't know if they still censor that type of word on YouTube, but before the when the pandemic hit, my mom didn't let me visit my cousin, so I was basically disconnected from the outside world. I was basically a home dweller, and I also ended up having to quit basketball because I contracted when I moved here. I got something called cholinergic urticaria, and I still have it now, but it's gotten a lot better. I know how to deal with it. I still work out and do all the important things, but at this time I couldn't play basketball. Every time I sweat, I felt like I was getting bitten millions of times over by like fire ants. It was awful. I couldn't play anymore. I tried all the things. I tried oat baths. I tried lanolin, lotion. Nothing was working at all. So I couldn't really play anymore. So I had to quit. And I just got really sad after it. When I started realizing I'm not really going to be able to play anymore, I just got really sad. Because, again, it's like stuff being given to me. Like, hey, here's friends. Hey, here's a dad. Hey, here's a stepdad. Hey, here's, some online friends. Here's real life friends. Here's visiting your stepdad. Here's visiting your cousins. Here's this. Here's that. I'll be given this stuff, right? Like, oh, well, can't have that anymore. And it was always abrupt. It's like that. Nope, not anymore. Sorry. Over and over and over and over with degreeing levels of severity, One of them's literally losing my dad twice over again. And other ones, you just lose all your friends. Like, it's just... Yeah, I know I'm like 14 or 15, bro, at this time. I'm 17 now. I know I'm talking like I'm 30. I've been through 3 divorces, and I'm just fed up with life. But although I'm not fed up with life now, I must say. But that's because I actually did something myself, which we're getting close to the actual, come up. But it was interesting because I didn't necessarily go down a dark path. I didn't start cutting myself or anything. I was just kind of sad. Like I wasn't really thinking about that stuff, thankfully. But anyways, I picked up an interest in Roblox football. Now, this ended up being an important time in my life because my internet could sustain PvP games at the time. And, I played in some side leagues and whatever, but I ended up joining the Legendary Football League, LFG, the top football fusion league. Got a team, started playing, and I started dedicating my life to QBing in this league. And I had some of my friends from Roblox basketball came with me, and we're playing Roblox football. Now, this is why this was important. It's very simple because it helped me a lot with leadership and communicating with people. Now, when I was playing, I wasn't particularly good at it, right? But I was learning. And it was an important skill that I still have to this day, so I'm happy that I ended up doing this. Although, it's kind of like buying a lottery ticket in some sense. It's kind of dumb, but, you scratch it off and end up winning something. It's kind of like, oh, well, I guess in that case it's worth it, right? Anyways, I started looking back. Stepping back and looking at everyone. I just won a game in spectacular fashion. But I looked at all the people in LFG and was like, do I really want to be these type of people? And I'm not sure what made me think that, to be honest, because that was a really important thought. If I never thought that, I probably wouldn't be here right now. I don't know what made me think that. But it wasn't because they were mean or anything. It's just they look like losers. Like in my head, I was like, these people are losers. And I was a loser at the time. I was looking at these people are losers. I don't know what compelled that thought process. Because I wasn't really... I always watch educational content, but not like videos like this. It'd be videos about like the history of X, right? History of X, Y, or Z. I was really confused. Like, I'm really confused now about why I even thought that, but I did, and I quit. And at this whole time when I moved, I was doing a little bit of flipping, here and there. I was doing okay. But I ended up finding something that was flippable that I can get off the internet. I could order it from another country and bring it to me, and I could sell it for a profit. I started doing that. I found a perfect marketing strategy, and I went from 0 to 4K a month in 1 month. Now, this wasn't not worked towards. Because remember, from the time I had started doing swag bucks, which was a lot earlier in the story, I wanted to make money. So this was to come, but I found it, right? And I started making money. Literally, at like 15 years old, I started making money. Now I'm gonna take a quick break because I need water. All right. So you're probably wondering, you talk about build back Christian men. You haven't talked much about Christianity at this point. And truthfully, this is around the time I started learning about it, because although I was raised as a Christian, I was kind of confused. Like, well, when I talk to these Christians, it doesn't sound very logical. Now, if you've been following the story, you know I'm a smart nerd who's a bit logical. And I would say I had the propensity to be an atheist at this point because a lot of Christians don't speak very logically. So I started asking the question, okay, is Christianity true? I started looking around, and I was astonished. The evidence for Christianity is very, very good, especially relative to atheism. And also compared to things like Islam. I was learning about this. So there you go. I know that's very brief. I was listening to people like William Lane Craig, David Wood. Some atheists I was listening to like Hitchens, Dawkins, Muslims. That's about it. Nothing too interesting to get into. But in any case, aside from this and making money, there's nothing particularly special. I'm still a geek. Okay, just because I have money doesn't make me cool. At this point, I'm still a geek, still a nerd. And I ended up getting back into QBing. And had been a few months, I got another team in LFG and got the squad back together and we started playing again. And it ended up being quite successful. And again, I was working more on my leadership and mentality and whatnot. We ended up being quite successful and had a deep playoff run. I'm not going to get too far into that. I'll make another video about my LFG career because that should be a funny story. But it felt good. I was learning and I was leading. I felt like I had a purpose in my life. But after a certain amount of time, I realized I just wasn't happy. I had my hair falling out. Literally. Look at my hair. Like, you see, if I, parse through my hair. Excuse me, I think I blew into my mic. But, you can barely see my scalp. You kind of see it there. But, it's like, most people, when they would do this, you could see their scalp quite easily. It's hard to see mine because my hair is really thick, right? Now, you know how balding people, they go like this, and it's just, this massive, it's 2 times the size of this, right? You can see their scalp. That's how I got, because I was stressing so much over Roblox football. That sounds really weird, but again, this was basically my purpose. I was stressing over losing, stressing over how to win, whatever, and I kind of realized, this is not good. I can't lose this beautiful head of hair I have, right? And also, in general, I'm just not very happy. So, I quit again, and I started realizing, hey, I need to change my life. And if you go to my physique video, you'll see someone requesting a quote. Okay. If you look at my physique video, you'll see my old physique. I took a photo. It's me in these blue shorts. The thumbnail. That is when I decided to actually start doing the self-improvement thing, actually changing my life. I was about 15 or early on into being 16. Right? Late 15, early 16, right? And around this time, I started going to my cousin's house again. And this was a great thing, although a few bad things came out with it. So he straight up started doing weed basically every week. Such a stupid waste of money. I made a video about weed addiction. But in any case, when I started actually improving myself, I actually started putting on different clothes. I started learning about this. Because remember, I'm a nerd, right? My natural state is being a nerd. So I learn about stuff. I learn a lot about different things. But I'm like a super nerd now. So I'm like a G and a nerd. I got 2 personalities and they work together. I got the nerd side, which can help me in arguments and help me learn about things. I got the G side that helps me communicate. So I was talking like some nerd. Hey guys, I'm gonna make this video about my life transformation. No one would care. I'm using the G side to communicate, but I'm using the nerd kind of brain to put things together. Like an intelligent person. In any case. I started getting respected. I started changing my clothing. I started taking care of myself. I started getting respect. I was kind of showing off my natural genes, my natural good looks. Remember, as I said earlier, my dad was handsome. So, of course, I'm handsome as well. I was kind of starting to show. I started getting respected. And although, as I said earlier, I was a bit popular in school, no one really cared too much. People weren't stopping, oh my god. Shaking my hand, can I get to know you and whatever? I remember my cousin had his wedding, right? And I put on a dress shirt. It was kind of an informal wedding. You didn't have to wear a suit or anything like that. But I put on a dress shirt, some dress shoes, and some Cuban link bracelets. The outfit was terrible by my standards today. I would have it done so differently. But people around me were really impressed. They were like, wow, he's changed so much and whatever, right? I sort of kept leaning to this fashion style of being, quote unquote smart casual. If you look at my thumbnails, just look at my thumbnails, you'll see. You kind of get an idea of how I dress, right? Dressing like a man. I was working out, I was losing weight, took care of my hair, and I actually peeled back all the crap I was covering up what I am with, right? And I look grown. Like, you can see me right now. I'm 17. Do I look like a 17-year-old? I have people confusing me for being an adult and for offering me alcohol all the time. 17 now. 16, it was a bit similar, right? I look like a grown man. And something quite interesting started happening around this time. Girls started noticing me. Now, there were a few girls that liked me in high school. Some of them even, not high school. In school, when I went to school, a few girls actually liked me. Now, of course, it's 5th, 4th, 6th, 3rd, 2nd grade crap, right? But I talked to some of them afterwards, and they told me, yeah, I liked you. Some girls would talk to me on the bus and whatever. I was kind of a cute kid, right? But I was too much of a boob to realize that girls actually liked me back then. But in any case, when I went outside and whatever, even because this happened around I was 16. That's when I started getting attention. Before I actually started changing things, right? Girls didn't really care about me. Walked around and it was kind of whatever. It was like a normie, right? Normies, girls don't care about normies. They don't get disgusted by them, but they also kind of don't care. It's whatever. I remember this one time. This girl was walking by me, and I made eye contact with her. She got really giggly and started like, you know how it is, like the very, very warm choosing signal. I was really confused. I was like, what the hell was that? Why was she laughing? Oh, I was such an idiot. I didn't know what was going on. I'd never seen that before. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. She looked kind of happy to see me, but why would she be happy to see me? I don't know who she is. But happening over and over again. I started doing research. I'm like, oh, maybe these girls actually like me. Then eventually, some of them actually started talking to me. Some of them calling me handsome. I heard stories about girls. I'm not going to get too far into how I figured out. I had a double agent. I'll put it like that. I had a double agent. But these girls were talking about me in church. The church I went to. The youth thing. Talking about how I walked. And just asking questions about me, which means they like you, right? They were saying I'm handsome and whatnot. And some of them were even talking to me like, I like your hair and whatnot. I was shocked. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I was like, bro, this is awesome. Men respect me. Men want to shake my hand. Men want to get to know me. Women like me. This is cool. And all I have to do is try. It's amazing. Now, I didn't do anything with this because I believe in celibacy before marriage. So this grown woman really had no use. The grown women, because they were grown women. Because, again, I looked older. So grown women were into me as well. But in church, I started, like I said, attracting to girls around my age there. Now, unfortunately, none of them are or were really that hot. I mean, some of them, when I say that, I believe in celibacy before marriage, right? So I only get to choose one. So I have to be very picky. I can't just go like, well, that girl, has big tits and she's kind of pretty, so I'm gonna go with her. Sleep with her and you'll see what happens. Maybe you'll make her part of my harem, right? I can't do that. So even if a girl is pretty, even if a girl has an alright body, it's like, okay, well, is that really the one? Is that really the one? I don't know. So that's kind of the catch-22 I was in. The girls were attractive. I mean, I would choke them, I would spank them. I would give them a good time, right? It would be a good time for me, at least. But I started talking to him a little bit. And I ended up getting this reputation around the church for being a player, for being a womanizer. Although, to this day, I still haven't kissed a girl. It's kind of funny to think about. But in any case, it's kind of the situation with girls. I'll put it like that. Because right now I'm focusing on the castle. I'll make a video about how to deal with women in your self-improvement journey. Because I do think I have the answer after talking to some people. But in any case, I was home, working my business, and I was seeing my cousin on the weekend playing basketball while going out. But I wanted something more. remember, I started a self-improvement journey. I wanted something more. I want more. So, I told my cousins, no, I'm going to go make money. I'm not going to see you guys for a while. And for the next, 6 or 7 months, I basically just stayed home all the time working on an agency, a Shopify SEO agency, which went absolutely nowhere. Spoiler alert, I know, I could have made it interesting, but it didn't go anywhere. I wasted money. I learned a bunch of lessons, but it wasn't worth the time. I wish I had started this instead. If I started this instead of the SEO agency, I probably would have made it by now. But in any case, after a while, my family was a bit concerned about me. And they started calling me and whatever, and I was like, okay, maybe I should go see them. And I went to go see them. I remember, I had my facial hair was all scruffy because I hadn't shaved, and that was one of the tenets. I wasn't allowed to shave. Not allowed to shave. Hadn't really taken care of myself. Hadn't put on nice clothes in a while, so I shaved, put on a suit for the first time 6 months. It was amazing. I was so handsome at the time. I was like, wow. Forgot I was this hot. Look, I remember I sent a message in the Discord I'm in. I was like, I forgot I was this hot, right? But and I saw my family again, and I had girls look. I went to the mall, and I had girls looking at me there still. So I'm like, oh, this feels cool. I haven't felt this in a while, right? But even with all these positives, there's still negatives at the time. I was still watching explicit content. Remember, during this whole time, basically 2 years after I started, I realized I was bad on trying to quit. This whole time through the story, I was trying to quit, right? And I was still into gaming. And I felt directionless in some sense because I wasn't doing what I'm doing now. This is what I want to do with my life. And I wasn't doing it with even the business I'm still running now. Because the business that I went 0 to 4K, I'm still doing now. And even SEO agency and other businesses I tried wasn't fulfilling. Wasn't getting the job done. And for a very long time, I felt it was like my calling to help people in some way, but I was too nervous to get on camera. I didn't want to get on camera, so nothing really ever materialized. And after a while, I quit the agency, basically. Went back to seeing No, I didn't go back to see my cousins. I still haven't on weekends, but I went to making videos, and you can see them on my old channel. And months went on, I went pumping content. And 2 real cool events happened during this time. I quit video games and I quit explicit content. Now, I made videos about the whole stories about these, so I'm not going to go too far into it, but just know, getting rid of these 2 things made my life so much better. And around this time, I started getting better at videos, getting better at speaking and whatnot. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? I really want to target my audience really well, and I want to create higher quality videos. So I switched channels onto this one. And for about a month and some change, I've been making videos. About 1 a day. Some days 2, some days 3. And this is really the journey I'm on right now. Now, there's a lot of other stuff in this video I haven't gone over, but this is really the general overview to get an idea of my starting point and what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to build back Christian men. This is the movement I want to start. This movement, you can join the movement by joining the link in the description to the Discord. Also follow me on Instagram, like my posts. Of course, my Instagram looks better, as I always say. But I feel like I'm actually fulfilling my purpose now. And there's actually a few people I'm working with right now that have actually improved their lives, thankfully. I'm happy to say that. And I also got comments on my old channel about people saying, how the videos had helped them, which is also nice. I really do think I'm going to make it. Now, I'm going to circle back to what I was saying earlier. There's some things I haven't gone over this video, which will be gone over in other videos. Because this video, again, it's just to give you the overview. If I really went over every little detail autistically, this could be 10 hours long, literally. Probably even more. I will be forgetting things still. So in any case, I've kept it here long enough. I already told you about the movement on Discord. I already told you about the Instagram. Go to my website, give me an email, send me newsletters, and subscribe to the channel for future videos. Check out the old ones. I have must-watch videos in the description. Those are very important. It's going to help fill in the gaps in the story, and also give you a bunch of new information that's going to be very useful to you. Those are my call to actions. See you in the next video.